You're right, bud. It's time.
So that's what we'll be talking about, Quantum. Clue number 72. We have another trailer. What do you mean we have a new trailer? Didn't we just do one yesterday? Well, yeah, we did. But there's another one, and this one has like Drago's Bewilderbeast and the Light Fury and battles and cool armor and tears. So many tears. Okay. Just how I like my films. Making me cry. Also have that clone shot. Emotion makes us weaker. Oh, don't worry about Spyro. He's not over the first trailer. We have a Toothless to worry about. Today's trailer breakdown is sponsored by Squarespace, where I have been building my own site, which you can see in the background. Go to squarespace.com/HelloFutureMe and use the code HelloFutureMe to get 10% off your first purchase. More on them later. Now, normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to skip right to the end of the trailer to talk about perhaps the most important moment. Toothless and Hiccup saying goodbye.
You're right, bud. It's time.
Oh man, the tears are already coming. This is Hiccup and Toothless parting. The creators and the writers have said that this story would end with each of them learning to lead their kind apart from each other, to fly alone, as the trailer puts it. So when Hiccup says that it's time, I'm pretty sure he means that it's time for them to part, to go off and lead their own kind as Alpha and Chief, and it is going to be heartbreaking. You can see the pain in both of their eyes. This will be right at the end of the film, after Grimmel has been dealt to and the dragons are rescued. But back to the beginning of the trailer.
This is Berk, son. It was the home of your grandparents and their grandparents before them.
This is clearly a shot of Berk before the dragons come to live with them, because we see what it becomes like in this shot with its host of colours and towers and a whole lot of chaos, really. This is going to be Hiccup remembering his father, Stoic, because he never actually really had time to sort of grieve in the second film. After he died, it was very fast-paced, trying to face down against Drago. He'll be noticing how much Berk has changed since the dragons came to join them, and a large theme of the series is about how people deal with change, how Berk managed to change after they fought with the dragons to loving them, how people can change individually. And this film is going to see Hiccup and Toothless dealing with the greatest change of all, the dragons themselves leaving.
But out there, beyond the edge of the world, lies the home of the dragons.
Now this bit is actually taken from a scene that was actually released a couple of weeks ago, and interestingly, they've actually changed Stoic's line here. In the first version, he says,
Out there, beyond the sunset, lies the home of the dragon.
Now, I'm not sure which version will make it into the final cut of the film, but I actually think I prefer the sunset version. There are a couple of clips that we've seen before, so I won't dwell on them, but this new angle into the hidden world with the extra stream of steam rising from the entrance indicates that there may be some underground geothermal vents, heated water sources to create this steam, rather than it just being water vapor. This is partly why the hidden world would be a perfect home for the dragons. We know from the second film that they congregate around heated, underground, volcanic water sources. Secondly, in this new trailer there's so much more life and colour and light to the hidden world, which I love in the background. I think that this was a great design change to make, as the original hidden world in the first trailer was actually somewhat dark and dreary with just some crystalline glow. One question I've seen a lot of viewers bring up is whether dragons already live in the hidden world. Well, this clip of Stormfly flying around seeing these eggs would suggest that there are dragons living down there, and we can see ledges in the background, little golden ledges that may well be eggs, much like this nest here. But we don't see great numbers of dragons flying around at this point. It's more likely that Toothless will lead a lot of dragons into the hidden world than there to be a massive host of dragons already there. Likewise, this shot is relatively new. It's full of life and grand Morrowindian mushrooms rather than just crystals, which is amazing and beautiful, and I love it. And the dragons seem to be making a new home for themselves around this crystal, much like they did in the same fashion as Volker's mountain in the second film. This may be how dragons naturally live together in this hive-like structure. It's my belief that what we're seeing here is the dragons finally making for themselves a new home at the end of the film, in the hidden world, when they realize that they have to leave the human world, this being the new nest. So they come here, led by Toothless, rather than being found here.
And I believe it's your destiny to one day find this hidden world.
Well, he did, though Stoic probably meant for him to do it in a slightly more violent way, given at that point they were at war with the dragons. And you just look at Hiccup in this shot and he's like, oh man, Dad, that's a big responsibility, Dad. I'm not sure I can handle that. There's also Hiccup's new outfit, which looks more mature and shows growth from the second film. In the second film, his costume was more sewn together around the waist and the legs, whether this one looks more professionally made, like this is his final evolution.
You do know my leg isn't a chew toy, don't you? Is this what you want? Yeah, go get it. How am I supposed to get down?
Now you'd be surprised with how much this little clip actually tells us. Firstly, Hiccup is still working away at his maps, the ones that we see him working on at the start of the second film, so he's still exploring the wide world with Toothless. He does seem to be on an island, so he hasn't found the mainland continent of Europe yet, which he does actually do in the books. Now, interestingly, Toothless is more based on a cat than a dog, so seeing him play fetch was interesting in the trailer, but it does remind us that multiple animals went into his design, including panthers, bats, cats, and dogs. He very much acts like a dog with a bone guarding it from Stormfly, which I kind of had to laugh at. Though this does call up one strange question. How is Toothless flying by himself here? When he dives off the cliff and then he eventually gets up and back to Hiccup, this once again confirms the widely held fan theory that Toothless will get a permanent tail that allows him to fly alone by himself in the third film. It would sort of be necessary for them to part.
Hey, bud, wait up.
Well, I started out all alone.
This little bit doesn't give us much more than we already knew, except for a couple of clips framing that first meeting between Toothless and the Light Fury. However, we could draw a connection between this moment and these moments. See, if you look at the misty, foggy, greenery look that Toothless flies into when he dives off that cliff, it very much matches up with the colour scheme and look that we see here. And it is heading into nighttime, it's about twilight in this frame. If Hiccup is marking out new regions of the map, then this also means that there's somewhere new in the world, a new island, a new place where they could possibly find a Light Fury. And Astrid must have come along with them because Stormfly shows up, which is why Hiccup and Astrid are the ones that are also there when he finds the Light Fury. So Toothless meeting the Light Fury could happen right after this scene. Also, I just love how curious Toothless is here, seeing someone who looks like him for the first time. It's beautiful.
He's not the only one.
I'm learning to fly.
This little clip is clearly depicting the two growing closer together, and it's gotta be purposeful that the way they are flying forms a love heart in the air. Like, there is no way that that wasn't purposeful in the animator's mind. I find it interesting that the Light Fury is leading Toothless up into the sky, kind of reflective of how Toothless is going to be the one who has to pursue her.
Another Night Fury.
But I ain't got wings.
It's more like a bright
A Light Fury.
Yeah, yours is better, probably.
This little clip of her trotting about is clearly a response or a reciprocation of Toothless's own mating dance. Though clearly a little more eloquent. Maybe she does this and then he responds with that. Terribly. Or maybe it works, and then she does this and is like, hey, yeah, I'm totally into those weird umbrella dragons, that's my thing. Though, weirdly enough, though Hiccup says Light Fury is better than Bright Fury, I actually think I prefer Bright Fury as a title. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Because before we actually knew her official title, both names were being tossed around by fans.
The good old days.
There is an armada with enough cages for all of our dragons.
May not return.
Okay. This is where we get into the meat of the trailer, or for the vegans out there, like the cucumber sandwiches or something. One thing commenters have brought up is, where is Valka? Well, here you go, we see Cloudjumper being captured in this shot, and Valka seems to be wary, breathing heavily like she had only just escaped an encounter with Grimmel. She seems to be leaning on a dragon to her left, which I thought might be Cloudjumper, but the angle of the horn just doesn't seem quite right, but we'll see. This scene may indicate how we learn of Grimmel the Grizzly. Cloudjumper is captured, and Valka only just manages to escape to tell Hiccup. That's why she's explaining that they have so many cages. This is the first Hiccup has heard of him. This will probably happen earlier on in the film in that case, as this would be somewhat the inciting incident of the story. Also, in case you didn't notice, Valka has Wolverine claws, which is about the coolest thing in existence. I love that, and I need to see her use them in battle, though probably not as violently as we see them used in the Wolverine films. Alternatively, this could actually take place at the end of the film, because we see in this image that Grimmel captures Toothless, their alpha, and in this shot, Grimmel is leading all of the other dragons away with Toothless. So it's their alpha, they follow their alpha. We can see by the reddish golden light of the scene that all of these different clips take place in the same battle. All of these dragons are lured in and captured. Toothless, however, must eventually break out though. That's why we can see him flying around with Hiccup walking around at these epic moments. And the light in the clip where Cloudjumper is captured is very similar to that. There is this strange new island that we can see in the background of numerous shots, which I find a little bit confusing because here we can see an unobscured view of the sunset, but here the sunset is clearly behind this massive island. So where is it in this clip? Either this is actually taking place at dawn, which would be interesting, so the sun is on the other side of the sky, or the whole fleet moved a hell of a lot. I really don't know, and I want to know the island's proper purpose in the story. Why has it been included? Why was it included in the trailer of all things? It could be a base for Grimmel, maybe, but I don't think so. We'll have to wait and see.
This is a new kind of enemy.
A new kind of enemy. Firstly, this confirms a prediction that I made in the first trailer that these two lines,
We are no longer safe here. We all have to disappear, completely off the map.
and
We have to fight for their freedom.
take place in two different scenes. One is outside while the other is inside. But what does it mean to be a new kind of enemy? The Red Death was a monster that controlled other dragons, but didn't really kill that many. Drago was a monster who controlled other dragons, but he didn't actually kill any unless he needed to. But that is what I think we're seeing here, what I think is distinguishing Grimmel. Genocide. He isn't interested in enslaving the dragons. He wants to end the dragons once and for all. Only that kind of motivation would drive Hiccup to realize
We need to find the hidden world.
a safe place for dragons to live. This is only reinforced by Hiccup saying,
If Grimmel succeeds, there won't be any dragons left.
We also get this little clip of Grimmel showing how easily he can take down even the largest, most dangerous dragons, this one being a Rumblehorn, possibly killing it, but probably using dragon root arrows to immobilize them. That would be my bet. And we do get a real sense that he's incredibly imposing, so I liked that.
We need to find the hidden world.
I will destroy everything you love.
This clip can be paired up with this image from earlier in the trailer, which is interesting because Toothless is there. But Hiccup is saying that they need to find the hidden world. This means that they will make the decision to go find this mythical, legendary home of the dragons before Toothless goes off in search of the Light Fury. It also means that they knew it existed, perhaps from some old Viking myth, so they didn't just stumble across it randomly. And then there's Grimmel just slinking into the smokiness in case you didn't realize he was evil already.
Everything you love.
Toothless, no!
See me burn.
I didn't actually expect this. This is depicting the capture of both the Light Fury and Toothless, changing my original prediction that only the Light Fury would be captured. And with the Alpha taken, the rest of the dragons naturally follow. Interestingly, it looks, but it might just be a trick of the light, that both of Toothless's tail fins are back. Or that the new fin doesn't have that red design that we're so used to. It might be grey or silver to try and make it as naturally looking as possible, as Toothless is likely to have been captured after Toothless makes that for him. But this is one of the most telling shots in the whole trailer. This is Berk on fire, destroyed. We can tell that these towers are the same ones that we see in this shot. Valka and Hiccup stand together, and I really want to see her use those Wolverine claws so badly, but anyways, we can actually tell by the pairing of these two shots The whole of Berk is looking up at something. Hiccup is even crying a little bit, which is just heartbreaking. And I want to point out that there is kind of a red glow in the air. They're all wearing their armor, which to me suggests that this was after an important battle. It's my prediction that Berk will be burned to the ground, and this is all of them watching it die. There was also a massive claw mark across Hiccup's chest, and his pauldron has been torn off, so he must have been in a close call battle. In the same way that the dragons have to find a new place to live, so will all of the Berkians.
You're nothing without your dragon.
If Grimmel succeeds, there won't be any dragons left.
This is mostly clips that we have already seen, except for Grimmel dressed like a bald ninja cabbage swiveling on a crossbow. Judging by the light of day, it might be when they captured Toothless, but we really don't have enough to say. As I noted before, this probably means that Grimmel wants to kill all of the dragons. Toothless, the Light Fury, Cloudjumper, Stormfly, Sapphira, Meatlug, Balf and Belch and Hookfang included, everyone and everything that we hold dear, dead.
So, what are you gonna do about it?
Suit up, gang.
To be honest, I'm not sure how to interpret this. He's saying suit up, but he's already suited up, and they appear to be on Grimmel's ship already. Why would they not already be suited up? That seems like a health and safety hazard.
We have one shot at this.
Fly on your own. This seems to be a big theme of the movie. It's kind of its tagline, flying on your own. Both Toothless and Hiccup learning to live and lead their kind without one another. It's going to be heartbreaking because they've depended on one another for so long, but they will have to say goodbye, which is what we talked about at the beginning. That's why it's so important that they even put it in the big letters. I've looked at these dragons, but they don't appear to be any dragons we know from the main cast. I thought that might have been Stormfly, but probably not. This shot of them all landing in armor suggests to me that they actually don't have their dragons. That this point of the battle at twilight, at the end, that's them trying to rescue their dragons who have been captured, have been caged. That would somewhat make sense, otherwise they would land with Toothless and Cloudjumper and Stormfly and all the rest. And it's also my bet of how Hiccup gets this breathtaking shot of him walking out of the flames with Toothless. He's setting Toothless free and they're walking into the battle together. Also, I love Astrid and Hiccup's armor. For the record, it just looks so damn cool. I would so love to cosplay that.
You brought a baby to a battle? I couldn't find a sitter.
This is just a funny little moment which probably takes place during the battle with the fleet at twilight. Toothless is clearly free, though I will note the difference in light. It's clearly not nighttime, so it either takes place after the battle or it's at a different battle altogether. Hard to say. There are a lot of flashes of different things, most of which we have seen, but I would like to point out that Grimmel's fleet has cannons, which is a technology I did not think this world had. Honestly, I'm not so sure how useful they're going to be against flying dragons, unless the fleet of Berk, like we saw in the first film, came to help, but we haven't seen that anywhere else. I mean, cannonballs? Is that really gonna help? We then see Hiccup leaping off a flaming building by the looks of it. Ah! This creature, which is probably an evil dragon controlled by Grimmel, the ones that carry his massive contraption. You can tell by the huge fangs. This then leads on to this shot of Hiccup leaping across a chasm to Valka, who seems to be swinging on Cloudjumper's tail. You can tell by the design of the tail, the fins. It's virtually identical, so she does get Cloudjumper back. Meanwhile, this is also one of Grimmel's dragons again, snapping at Hiccup as he passes. Also, is it just me, or did I hear the Nazgul in that clip? Listen to it again. Finally, we get another snapshot of Toothless failing at flirting by dashing sand in the Light Fury's face and making her sneeze, which is adorable, but I feel bad for him.
The hidden world. It really does exist.
Now that's a king.
Oh yes, that is Drago's Bewilderbeast. You can tell by the broken tusk and the chain around it, joining with the other dragons in the hidden world. After all, he is the alpha, even of the Bewilderbeast himself. This will almost definitely take place at the end of the film, when Toothless finally leads all of the dragons down into the hidden world for safety. And There are more Light Furies, no, I would not ignore them, including a baby. And this isn't Toothless's Light Fury, but the creators have stated in a Reddit interview that the Light Fury is not the last of her kind, and we can see her standing alongside Toothless like a queen, overlooking their kingdom atop the crystal. So that little baby one is probably not theirs. This one next to it though is probably Stoic's Rumblehorn, and every other dragon that we have ever known in the series is here with him under Toothless's leadership. They're all cheering for him in a way. Now, this might be me reading into the clip a little bit too much, but it looks like many dragons open and raise their wings in much the same fashion that Toothless does when he does it, perhaps as a sign of respect, kind of like a salute. And Astrid saying "now that's a king" could be referring to Toothless or Hiccup, to be honest, though Hiccup is meant to be chief, though in the books he does actually become king, so something radical could happen in the series in the final film for him to become king, but I do think that the word would be more fit for Toothless. Either way, it'll be at the end when either of these two have led their kind to safety.
You're right, bud. It's time.
As discussed, this is probably the moment that they part. How to Train Your Dragon has been such an important part of my life personally. It was how my channel began, it was the video series that grew this community, and if you want to read more of my thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon and the series coming to an end, how I've been feeling about that, I've put up a blog post on my website, linked down below. I built my site with Squarespace and they were kind enough to sponsor this video. If you would like to build your own website, then go to squarespace.com/HelloFutureMe and use the code HelloFutureMe to get 10% off your first purchase. On my website you can also submit your own art and your writing so that I can put it up as kind of a showcase of the community's work to see some of the really cool stuff that you guys have made. So please go do that, I love seeing the work that you guys do. Squarespace is really good and flexible for any musician, artist or YouTuber if you want to get into this kind of life. It's surprisingly easy, and if you are ever stuck like I was one time, it's super easy to get help with 24/7, 365 days a year support. So use my link down below to make the site that you want.
Well, look who it is! Not a word.
This moment is a little strange, it's confusing, it's odd, it's cool. I can't place where in the story it would go, though possibly at the end given it's a little bit lighthearted. It can be paired with this moment, and it seems like they're picking up all of Berk and moving it. We can see ships and hosts of dragons and people and supply loads, meaning it's quite likely to have happened before the dragons go underground, after Berk has been destroyed, but I don't know, it seems a little bit odd to have a funny moment around then. It would sort of destroy the tension in a way. But this does leave us with a question: where will the Berkians go? Where will they settle down? We'll have to find out. But it is nice to know that Toothless and the Light Fury make it out. But that is all from me. Come follow me over on my social media, especially my Twitter. That's where I tend to reply a lot, my email and stuff, down in the link below. Check out the website, everything else. What do you think of the trailer? Let me know down below. Stay nerdy, and I will see you in the future.